All right, everyone, we're at 40, so I think we'll get started, and hopefully those people will be able to catch up with whatever we start with. I guess the main reason we wanted to get together tonight was to discuss some issues that were floating around with the diploma and the Cert 4. So when I say that, the Cert 4 is Cert 4 in Plumbing and Services in the hydraulic stream, and the diploma is the Diploma of Hydraulic Services Design, which we've got many people. I think we're up to about 80 people at the moment that are keen to get into the diploma, which is quite exciting, given it's been out of action for a couple of years. So one of the things in our meetings that we've had with TAFE, obviously, that came up in that last update, was that anyone who wanted to study these courses needed to be employed in the hydraulic design sphere. Now that has changed, which I'll go through shortly, which is a little bit of a relief for me in terms of getting people into the both those courses and getting everyone studying and getting everyone through their qualifications. And it's the changes sort of come from above in light of the a new training package has just been endorsed, which only happened last Wednesday. We only found out about it on Friday, and by the time we've reviewed it, we've had a bit more of a better platform to work from in terms of getting through this meeting today, to be honest. So what I might do is I'm just going to share my screen, and we might just run through a PowerPoint presentation, and then hopefully that'll answer the vast majority of questions. And then if it doesn't, then we've got plenty of time. I think initially we put aside an hour. Because of the changes, I don't think we're going to take anywhere near that long now. And yeah, there'll be some time later for everyone to ask questions. So firstly, thanks for coming along. I think I guess it's prudent for all these students who are interested in doing the course to come along and find out what the requirements are for them to study. But in particular, any of the consultants that are here, because when we sent out this email, then it certainly was a big request from the consultants to make sure that any of the students were employed. And I know there was some pretty fierce backlash straight away as to it being mandatory, but suffice to say that's not the case anymore. We'll go through that, but it's good to see so many people here to listen and figure out a way to move forward. So like I said, so we're talking about the Cert 4 in Plumbing and Services, particularly the hydraulic stream and the Diploma in Hydraulic Services Design. So like I said, the biggest news was on Wednesday, we found out that the training package for 50612, which is for our diploma, and similarly for the Cert 4, has been, well, it's not completely, it's endorsed by Artibus, who are the entity that review the package, the training packages, and it is estimated it will be live and be able to be used within 4 to 6 weeks. So TAFE have a copy of the approved documents and are going through them to see how it impacts us in terms of what TAFE delivers and what students are required to do in order to complete that qualification. So TAFE have had a look through those. We got that advice Friday afternoon. By Monday afternoon, there was already a change in our plan. And when I say the plan that we had made Friday morning when I met with TAFE, we're still trying to figure out how to get these employment clauses to work in a suitable way. And to be honest, I felt like we had found a really good solution, which was more of a work experience style thing rather than a full-time employment or a part-time employment. But as it turns out, some of these changes are considerable. So if we look at both of the courses, the Cert 4 and the Diploma, the Cert 4 has one additional unit. Now, when I say that, it is, or it was there, but it's now deemed to be not exactly the same as what it was. So you can't easily get a credit if you've done the similar course in the old subject. So that's one change that we weren't aware of. And if we look at the Diploma, it's had 4 units removed from it. So I won't go into the details of what those are just here, but suffice to say there's been some change. The biggest one for us was neither of them any longer require the 200 hours of workplace training. So it almost makes this meeting redundant. I didn't cancel it because I felt this was still the quickest and easiest way to inform everybody of what was going on. But I mean, that's quite a big step to say that neither of those courses require that any longer. So you don't necessarily have to work in a place of, whether it's a consulting business or a contractor that has a senior engineer or consultant working in that scenario that we put out to everybody a few weeks ago. So even though I guess that sort of can probably make everyone breathe a little bit easier about how things are going to work into these courses, I wanted to still run through a couple of things with you, and then we'll get to any questions. So with the training of the Cert 4, we have a number of people, around 30, I think it was, that are transferring from the operations stream to the hydraulic stream. Now, those people will typically only have probably 3 or 4 units to complete. And what we debated today was, do we continue to run in Term 4 as we previously advised, the Cert 4 in hydraulic stream, particularly just for these operations students, that would get them across the line by the end of Term 4 and into the Diploma in February 2021. Now, the problem with doing that is that even though you finish that design, that hydraulic design Cert 4, it's still the old package. So when I just mentioned there is a new unit in there, that's not covered in the old package. So what we would have had a scenario where you went and did that 10 or so weeks in Term 4, you would still have to go and do another single subject on its own, which TAFE probably would have offered as a skill set and just sort of packaged it up on its own. Problem being is if we were to do that, then not only have you got to sort of re-enroll in that skill set afterwards, you also still had to do the workplace training. And what that probably would have ended up involving, given it's only a condensed portion of the course, it would have been probably 2 days that you would have had to spend in an office doing work experience. Now, what the other alternative was that we talked about today was if we just put all of those people directly into the new version of the Cert 4 hydraulic stream, that removes all requirements to do any workplace training, and it ticks the box of all of those students then have all of the new subjects, which is the prerequisite to get into the Diploma. Now, the problem in doing that is, of course, we've only just got these documents. There's a process to go through those for TAFE and basically QA check all of their existing material to make sure that it complies with the new training package. So what it does mean is that instead of offering that in Term 4 of this year, that'll be offered in Term 1 of 2021 to give TAFE time to update their material. So we'd find ourselves in a scenario where no one would be studying this year, unfortunately. I know we're all very keen to get in and get through it, but we were in pretty good shape to do that until this new training package dropped last week. And now that it has, it feels more efficient and a better solution to just get everyone into that new package as soon as possible. So that will mean effectively TAFE and HCAA, the people helping to write some of this material, will get cracking for the rest of the year and make sure that all the Cert 4 and Diploma material is there so that we can just rip into it in the new year. So for those people doing the operations, it's still only going to be a matter of completing those 3 or 4 subjects. So you'll likely commence in February or term 1 of 2021. You'll be completed by term 2, and then the diploma would kick off in term 2 of 2021. So again, I know we just pushed it back a term, but now this new training package is pushing it back another term to get some time for TAFE to update everything. For the people that, sorry, let's get back. For the people that aren't doing operation stream, but they are doing the Cert 4 hydraulic stream, you too will enter the new package for the Cert 4, but you will start in term 1, and then you'll just continue on into the 18 months or so that it's normally going to take to do that Cert 4, and then move into the diploma after that. Now in terms of the diploma, I've probably already touched on it a bit, but so that is intended to kick off in term 2, 2021. The main focus is really to get the operations students in there, those that have just got to finish a couple of subjects, I should say. And then we'll focus on the people that are starting from scratch. Like I said, there's no longer any workplace training. Now, it's not mandatory anymore, but both myself and the people that are working with us at TAFE still think it's a very good idea, even though it's not required by the training package. So we would encourage you, if you're on the tools and you're thinking about making the move into consultancy, please consider, trying to get out there and have a look for a job in a design office. I think it will, or, even if it's you might be able to negotiate some work experience or something similar, which was what we were going to look at if it was still mandatory. So what we were going to suggest was maybe 1 or 2 hours a week that a student might go in and sit in a chair in the office. And what that does, it gives you access to computers, software, you've got printers and scanners, you have the shared knowledge of all the people around you in the office. You could go and ask questions about the assessments you're doing, about why you wouldn't design something in a particular way. So there's a ton of benefits there. You certainly get a feel for the office, how it works, how you've got to dress, how you've got to talk. It's not the same as being on a job site. It does need to be a bit more refined and act slightly differently. So, we would still encourage you very much so to either try and get a full-time role and progress through your studies while being in an office. I think it'd be an enormous help. If you can't do that, maybe even contact someone. You might be able to do a bit of a work experience thing and pop in there every now and then. Maybe even if it's just to help you out with your assessments and quiz people on careers and what they shouldn't do. And to that extent, that really sort of lands on the consultants as well. Actually, I'll come back to the consultants because I just wanted to cover this on the enrolling. So if any of you haven't already sent your information to Glenn Martin, then you definitely need to do so. Unfortunately, because this is such a constantly moving beast, the the information can't go onto the TAFE New South Wales website until such time that it is approved and it's all written, ready to go. So because we're sort of catching up, and now it's probably 2 steps forward, 1 step back with this new package, it's difficult for TAFE to get all that information collated and ready to get on the website. But if Glenn has your details, and I've had a fair few people say, oh, look, Glenn didn't get back to me. I just want to make sure I haven't missed the boat. Look, you can always email me. I have got a current list of Glenn's, or a copy of Glenn's list, but I just ask, probably try not to bug Glenn too much at the moment. He's pretty flat out, and has probably not had time to respond to all of your emails. So if there's any of those simple questions, then maybe email me first or call me, and I'll try and field them. If it's something that I can't sort out, then I'll probably then still push it to Glenn. But he's the man, and so what he will do once we get all this sorted and the package is ready to be delivered, Glenn will email you directly. That will have information on enrolment, information sessions that TAFE is going to hold before TAFE, the course starts at TAFE. And that will be coming. Like I said, look, initially we were thinking that was going to happen in the next 2 weeks, given we were going to look at starting in term 4. That's probably going to be more now, like at a guess, probably November, so that it's getting everybody ready to get started in the new year. Now, one of the things that we did want to stress was all the information you have sent to Glenn at the moment is not part of the enrolment process. So if you can think of it as, we've just been trying to get all the transcripts and existing studies and existing qualifications that you've done so that Glenn can figure out what course or what subjects to run and who is eligible to put in it, how many teaching staff they need to allocate, and all that sort of stuff. But once Glenn does send out these emails with the enrolment information, you'll need to put all that in there again. So please don't assume that, oh, well, I sent my stuff to Glenn 6 months ago, then I'm enrolled. That when you get that email from him, then you'll need to provide same sort of stuff, all your details, all your transcripts from your previous qualifications, and then that will go into the TAFE system and get you started. I understand there'll also probably be people looking for RPL. That's fine. Again, probably I wouldn't bug Glenn about that too much at the moment. That is something that will happen after you are enrolled. No one will be looking at RPL prior to you being enrolled in the course. So once you are enrolled, then you can talk to probably your head teacher even, or it may even be head teacher and Glenn or some of the other guys at TAFE that will be able to help you with that RPL. But just hang on to that for the moment. I guess RPL is probably slightly different to the people that come across from the operations stream. You will get straight credits for the subjects that you have already done in your operations Cert 4, with the exception of, I think it's the one that has changed, which I think everyone will need to complete again. So it has a different course code and probably slightly different content, so you'll need to sit that. That last one there, look, as soon as we find out if there's any information, whether there's information is now available on the website for TAFE, or if there are any updates, of course, we will continue to distribute that information. It'll go onto the LinkedIn website for HCAA. I think Glenn I'm not sure if he's doing direct emails to everybody as well, but we're certainly sending it out through our HCAA membership, and that can sort of filter through the businesses that you're working for. But I guess if you're still working for a trade contractor, then probably I'd recommend you jump on LinkedIn and have a look at the HCAA forum. So there are actually 2 sites. There's an HCAA site and there's a HCAA forum, which is a group that you need to be approved for. If you jump on there and just request access to that, then I'm pretty sure we're almost accepting just about anybody, but it's just the way that the group is set up that you have to be accepted to be a part of it. But that's one way that we can keep in contact with you. So what do the consultants need to do? I mean, if you'd asked me last week, I would have been saying you need to offer jobs. Realise how crazy that sounds in the middle of COVID when people are probably struggling to hang on to people. So I think, look, certainly in the short term, this is a bit of a blessing. I think it would have been very hard if we had 80 new people in the industry across the country that we had to find jobs for. It would have been quite difficult. Like I said, that's why we sort of landed on the work experience thing. If it was work experience, it was only an hour a week, of course that would be unpaid. So, I think at the moment, consultants don't need to do a great deal. All these students will be able to enrol and complete their studies as they normally would have. There's no training required. Like I said, I would still encourage it. And if you do get a student ring you and say, hey, I'm doing the diploma, do you have a job? I guess consider that first. I know there's certainly a tendency for a lot of businesses to try and hire mid to senior level consultants, people that may have already completed their diploma and have had a couple of years experience. But would encourage everyone to sort of get in a bit of a mentality if we need to train our younger generation as they come through. And that in turn is going to help your progression of staff through your business, so that everyone would kind of move up the ladder a bit if you keep feeding people in at the bottom. So if you do get a call, or even if you've got workload to support it, please consider putting a junior on first and doing a bit of training in the workplace. Alternatively, if you get a call and you find someone that may be interested in doing some work experience, it might be an hour a week or a day every 3 months or whatever it may be, just to kind of get them into an office environment, please consider it. I think it'll be very handy for those students to get a bit of a taste of what the consultancy life is like, particularly if they've been on the train for a while and not had much exposure to that. In terms of that junior employment, I've just grabbed this out of the Hayes. Hayes is a recruitment agency. They've been around for many, many years and they produce a pretty solid document. And this is just a snapshot of the engineering portion, but it covers a variety of sectors outside of engineering as well. But just wanted to sort of put that in there, whether it's for the students or the employers. But if you look there, a graduate entry-level design engineer in New South Wales in Sydney is between 51 and 65. Now, you may well progress out of that pay packet or pay grade quickly if you're competent, but these are probably loose guides that you can expect. And I have been doing some presentations to Cert 4 students at TAFE. It's been eye-opening actually. I found quite a few Cert 4 students don't actually realise consultancy is a sort of a next step in the designing from the plumbing. So I've had a bit of interest there, but stereotypically, most people are fairly surprised at the entry-level wage and salary. So one of the things I'd say to those guys is probably don't wait too long. If you have an inkling that, or you want to get into a design office, you're sick of working in cold mornings and working out in the rain or something, then probably do it sooner rather than later. I think generally if you wait till you're pushing 30, potentially you've got a mortgage or a child, and by then you're probably earning very good money on the tools. It does make it a pretty difficult step to come back into an office. We would hope that you would progress into consultancy and surpass what you can earn on the trade, hopefully. I guess if you're owning your own business, then that may be different, but getting into the office early can be beneficial after you've got a few years under your belt on the tools. I will distribute this, but that link in the middle of the screen there in the blue, that is to the actual HAYS document. It's just got New South Wales in those two there, but it does have details for all states across Australia. So for anyone else that's outside of New South Wales, there's some information for you there as well. And that's about it. So I will just have a look. All right, so there's no questions on the chat so far. So if anyone, if you have questions or comments, then by all means jump in and we can go through
them. If I can kick off,
yeah.
Just wondered, are the numbers capped or going for the diploma in that term 2? Provided everyone gets their prerequisites.
Look, what I've been told, so we have got the benefit of Rod Jackson from TAFE is with us tonight. So if I say anything wrong, Rod, please correct me. From what we've been talking about the last little while, the ideal class size is about 15.
Okay.
So once TAFE would sort of hit that number, if it gets to 20, it gets a bit difficult in a marking sense, you know, by the time everyone hands in their major assessment, for the teacher to get through all those in a short period of time becomes difficult. So that's sort of the classroom size they're talking about. But if we were to have 30 people ready to go, TAFE has explained that just split those up into 2 groups and do 2 separate groups of students.
Yeah, Rod, to answer that, teacher availability will determine the number of classes that can be run. Because one of the issues that we've now got to look at with the new units, or the units in this new qual, is teacher currency as far as being able to deliver those units. So that's another piece of work we've got to do too.
Yeah.
So it may limit the number of teaching staff that we've got available to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
For all the consultants listening, put your hand up if you would like to teach. I know we've been asking that one for quite a while at all our HCAA meetings and encouraging the consultants out there to do some teaching. I mean, if you want to do that, there is a Cert 4 training assessment that you need to complete prior to doing any teaching. But yeah, I encourage you to do that if you have the time and mindset available. Anyone else?
You got questions in the chat pod?
Oh, sorry. How many nights a week? That might be a good one for you too, Rod.
Usually 2 nights a week.
That's for, for the Cert 4.
Cert 4 will be the same.
2 nights a week, and the same thing for the diploma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Proposed timetable. Look, that's 2 nights a week. Look, we're not sure of what nights they're going to be at the moment. That'll have to come after Rod and the other TAFE staff sort of figure out which subjects in what order, and again the teacher availability to do those. That'll probably be advised once you start that enrolment process. Our TAFE allow you to run the Cert 4 operation stream and design stream simultaneously. I would suggest no, Rod?
I would say yes, because the operation stream will apply for students that only want to do their licensing. So the hydraulic stream will be specifically for those that want to go into the diploma.
But you can't attend both at once.
No, for
you would enrol in one or the other.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and again, that comes down to the rules around state government smart school funding.
Yeah.
The eligibility rules. So you're studying one qual, you're not entitled to study 2 the same level at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. And like I said, we'd be suggesting everyone enrol into the new one rather than the old one. There's a question on here. Are New Zealand students still on the cards to study? Look, the answer for that at the moment is no, unfortunately. We were keen to. There is a thing called, I think it's the CRICOS register, which allows any Australian RTO to deliver material to overseas. One of the requirements of those is that only 1/3 of the course can be studied online. So to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why that's the case, because it's basically forcing you to come to Australia to study anyway, because unless you have facilities in New Zealand that you can go and carry out this study through, then that's not really going to work. So not only is it sort of difficult to get onto that CRICOS register, but we'd have to figure out even how you get around that requirement, if you can get around that requirement.
Yeah, Rod, the rules for international student study are totally different to onshore. So just one of them is they must do 20 hours a week as a minimum.
Yeah.
And then there's all the issues about visa applications, and that's a whole big piece of work we have to do to get it on the CRICOS register for delivery to international students.
Yeah.
At this point in time, we've got enough on our plate to try and get this sorted.
Yeah, I think we had 3, I've been contacted by 3 people over there that would love to do it. We'd love to offer it, but yeah, at the moment, then we've got to get the majority sorted and get these new packages updated. So never say never, it may be able to be done in the future, but that's probably a little while away yet. I've got a question here. Will the course be available online? Yes, it will. So one of the best things I think we've sort of had with this new development is that TAFE are able to offer this as a blended delivery. So what that means is there will be a face-to-face class in North Sydney, in Sydney. And in that classroom, there'll also be a camera pointed at the teacher, and anyone who is either regional or in another state, then they can dial in. They'll be using Microsoft Teams, and we're hopeful that that'll be effective, and that person, even though they're remote, can still ask questions, get some feedback for the teacher, ask questions about their assessments and anything like that. So, and
it'll also be recorded for those that can't make that particular session.
Yeah. So if we, if you're sick, or if you are on the tools and you've got to do a sewer choke or something, then you can always sort of come back and watch that later. I've got another one here with the HCAA, the diploma class is term 1 2021. Was this referring to face-to-face? Well, both the Cert 4 and the diploma will be offered blended delivery. Is that right, Rod?
That's it, yeah. It's blended connected learning.
For both Cert 4 and diploma. So even if you're going from operations and finishing off your first your 4 subjects for your hydraulic stream, you'll still be able to do that via Teams if need be. What's the next one here? If I already have a Cert 4 prior to 2012, I believe I have to do a bridging course. Can this be done at the same time as the diploma course, or does this then be completed in term 1 prior to starting the diploma? Okay, Rod, that might be one for you as well. So that would have been off an older training package where some of those courses aren't recognised.
Yeah, so your transcript, whoever that is there, your transcript needs to go through to Glenn Martin, so we can have a look at what you've completed and what will have to be completed in the Cert 4 hydraulic stream for him to be able to answer that question for you.
Mm. But so
you will get credits for some of it.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of how much.
Yeah, okay. And so it's, I guess the recommendation would still be to enrol in the Cert 4 hydraulic stream in the new one in 2021. And during that, we'd have to figure out what subjects you need to complete to be able to get ready to enrol into the diploma. So another one here, how do consultants confirm if they want to put on a work experience student or multiple students on different days? So look, I guess it's a, I haven't quite figured that out yet. So stereotypically, you could even just advertise a position, whether that's on seek.com or whatever platform you feel comfortable with, Jora or something similar. I'm not sure how successful they would be initially. Another thing we were contemplating is we could potentially, as the HCAA, we could send an email to all our members and ask who or which companies are interested in putting on work experience students if they want to do that. I think there's some benefits there. I mean, obviously there's a bit of time that they've got to put aside to help you out with a bit of training. They've got to have a seat for you and probably a computer, but there's potentially a really good stream of good future hydraulic people coming in the door. So we might look at doing that and creating a bit of a list of consultants that are open to that, and maybe we're thinking potentially that can go on a website to sort of narrow that down, and then the individual student, if they want to do work experience, then they can contact those companies. In terms of if it's a full-time role, then I would just say advertise on any job platform that's out there. Okay, so next one, do design stream students have to pass business principle and computer-aided subjects to be able to finish Cert 4? Yes. So there's an architectural CAD subject that is part of the design stream or the hydraulic stream. It's not called business principles today. We only looked at it today. It's something similar though.
Yeah, establish legal and risk management.
Resolving business conflict. I think that was risk management, yeah. And what were the other two there? It was still codes and standards.
Yeah, that's read and interpret codes and standards, and that's
and a sustainability subject as well on sustainability and water management. So I think stereotypically those four were the subjects that most people haven't completed when they did their license, and so they seem to be the ones that were staring out. There's a bit of a mixture on who had completed what, but yeah, they were the four that still needed a bit of work for people to finish that Cert 4 and be ready to get into the diploma. Another one here, is the diploma course recognised by Engineers Australia? No, it is not. So I'm not 100% sure on the process to get into Engineers Australia if you don't have a degree. I understand they do have a process that you can go in there if you have a different qualification. Explain to them your whatever qualification you do have, your year's experience, the projects you've worked on, your understanding of hydraulics in general, and that there is a way to get yourself onto the NER. I haven't done it. I don't know anyone that has done it, but there does seem to be an avenue in their documents that allow you to do that. But stereotypically, no. We have been reviewing a document that was just released as a discussion paper a couple of weeks ago about a national qualification framework. And so that's an initiative by the federal government to get qualifications even across the country, so that if you're in, doesn't matter if you're in Tasmania or Western Australia, New South Wales, Queensland, if you get on this register, then you can design anywhere. So it's slightly different to the way it is now. Queensland's got, I think it's REPQ, which is a licensing scheme up there that enables those guys to design and sign off projects. I think Victoria has something slightly different. Tassie's different again. So in the past, it has always just been, if you have a hydraulic diploma or even an associate diploma, that was generally accepted as okay to sign off a hydraulic services design. That seems to be changing. So if we look at that Australian qualification framework, then there are a number of categories in there for hydraulics. The top one is engineering. In order to get that, at the moment, you can have a hydraulic, civil or mechanical engineering degree. Now, there is a hydraulic services degree that I managed to find. I think it was at Uni New South Wales. It's got nothing to do with building hydraulics. It's all about stormwater and flood studies. So theoretically, there's no degree out there. Mechanical is probably the next closest, I would guess. But there's no specific degree that teaches you about building hydraulics of sewer, stormwater, hot and cold water, hydrogen source reels and gas. So at the moment, the diploma is it. So what that would mean is we have a bunch of people, and most of the people in the industry have the diploma, or the associate diploma and a lot more experience. We wouldn't have too many in that engineers category. The next category below that was a technical designer. That's recognised qualification for that technical designer is a diploma, which is what we're aiming for. At the moment, that framework is suggesting you can only do DTS designs with that qualification, so you can't go and do a performance solution. We, as an association, are providing some feedback while it's a discussion paper saying, well, your current framework says you've got a diploma and 3 years experience is enough for you to be able to sign off on projects. We want to suggest, well, if you have a diploma and 10 years experience, then you should also be able to go outside of that and do performance solutions. So we're trying to find a way that having a diploma will get you there with a number of years experience. That is very much up in the air. We don't know when that's going to be implemented. It's only a discussion paper, probably about 5 years away, if that. It has been tried before and may not be the last time it was tried, but it is a good initiative to try and get everyone on the same playing field, the same level of qualification. I think it will be good for our industry now that certainly for the diploma, I can understand for people outside of our state, having a diploma was never really an easy option because it wasn't offered online. And well, sorry, Queensland had theirs online for a number of years. They've since stopped running their course as well. So at the moment, there's no way for, if you're in Adelaide or Perth, you know, there's no easy way to get into a diploma. Gladly, now that we've got this running as a blended delivery, those people will be able to study diploma and get their diploma and have that bit of an even distribution of diploma qualified people around the country. So I've got another question or comment here. Rod, the problem is we have mech guys signing off plumbing designs. I tend to agree. So look, it's one of those things. While the diploma had stopped, there was a bit of a shortage of people getting into office. So I know there's a bunch of engineering firms that have started putting on mechanical grads and training them how to do hydraulics themselves. Look, I understand that those people may very well have the smarts to do the job. If they can complete a degree, then they're more than likely pretty capable of them being able to do hydraulic design. Having said that, I've been talking to a few companies in the last few weeks that say, well, if they take that mechanical grad, it's probably realistically 2 years in the office before they feel comfortable with giving them full designs. And those 2 years come with a fair bit of sitting with someone else and getting on the job training. I think there's probably a couple of good companies around where that training would be excellent, but there's no way of guaranteeing that training is consistent and nor is it consistent with the other companies that are training people. So on the whole, I don't think it's an ideal way to do it. I would prefer to see people come through a vet approach through TAFE, where you're getting that specific how to design systems, not just how to calculate a flow rate in a pipe, but here's how you do sewer, here's how you do sprinklers, here's how you do, well, actually, I don't know, sprinklers is an elective, it's still in there, but you're just going to touch on that. But here's how you do your water design and flow and return hot water and stuff like that. So I think, mechanical's potentially a good person, but it might end up as a business, I think it's going to end up taking you a lot longer to train that person than what you would have if you're taking someone straight out of the diploma who's already been doing that for a few years. Okay, so next question here, we've got, once we complete the full diploma, what would our level be? So it's an AQF 5. Rod, you might be able to remind me what AQF stands for. Australian Qualification
Framework.
Framework?
Yep.
So it's a level 5. A degree is a level 8. Obviously Cert 3's level 3, Cert 4's level 4. Diploma's the next one up there. In terms of further qualifications after that, there has already been talk about potentially preparing a scheme that would be, I think it's a graduate diploma, which is an AQF 8. And the likelihood of that, so it would probably be done by anyone who wants to go do the diploma, and then you go do the grad dip in order to do performance solutions. So it might end up being geared on particularly how to recognise non-conformances with standards and NCC, and what you need to do or how you come over it. Any particular examples or testing that you might have to do, how you finish off the reports and write reports, get all the key stakeholders involved, how to produce that document, what processes it's got to go through, who signs it at the end. That's the current thinking. Probably, again, a little ways down the track. We really want to just get this diploma going first and foremost, and then start thinking about that next step for the performance solution stuff.
Rod, you might want to just qualify that answer. He might want to know, Tom might want to know the entry level into a consultant firm as a graduate or an entry level junior.
Look, if that's the case, I mean, if that's in terms of the salaries, I think entry level where I had up there, what was it, 51 to 65 is probably when you're starting your diploma. So you might already be finished your Cert 4. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bit of a negotiation with whoever the employer is, and probably has a big bearing on your capabilities. So the reason those salaries do sort of drop back a bit is stereotypically, if you're coming off the trade, if you don't have good computer skills, just being technologically literate, if you're not good in a design meeting where you're sitting around the table with a design team, things like AutoCAD, writing letters, writing reports, writing emails, they're the sorts of things that we want to brush up and teach you. But if you walk in the door and say, well, I can do all that, I've been using AutoCAD through TAFE for the last few years, I can jump on, if you mark me up something and I can draw it, that's a huge step straight away. If you can write a letter or prepare a report or do a site report or something and it's pretty well structured, you drop a few photos in there, another big step. Things like that will progress that salary quite quickly. So when we say sort of graduate entry level, it will vary depending on your personal experience, but the quicker you can sort of jump through those steps and prove that you're competent, then I think that'd be where you have your your annual review and you have a chat with your employer and say, all right, well, you know, last time we talked, we set all these goals. I can now do all those. So let's talk about a salary increase. Next question I got here, can you confirm the course duration is 3 years? So look, it should take you around that. If you're starting from scratch, the Cert 4 is 1.5 stereotypically, and the diploma is typically 2 years. So like I said, we did drop a few subjects and we've added one in the Cert 4, so I'm not 100% on exactly how that's going to affect the delivery, but certainly the ballpark's going to be the same. We do understand, like often we see people take a little bit longer, particularly if you're, you know, you have a baby, something along those lines. That may definitely impact how many subjects you can get through every semester. We would still, you know, recommend that you try and stick with the cohort that you're going through with. But certainly realise you might drop off 1 or 2 subjects here and there. But what TAFE do not want to see, and certainly have seen in the past, is people taking 8 or 10 years to finish it. By nature of their life and what inhibits them, that becomes problematic in terms of you're not getting a whole bunch of people through at the same period. And the other part that sort of tacks onto that then is if you miss a particular subject or two, you may have to wait a little while for it to be run again. You know, it might not be available the next term when you want to, if you've got gas or grey water left to do or something, you've got to wait for the next time for that to be run, which might not be immediately. So, you know, then you might find yourself left in a scenario where you've only got 1 or 2 subjects left to go to wrap it up, but they're not on just yet. So that's certainly been an issue in the past. TAFE has sort of already told me that they're going to try very hard to avoid that from happening. So do you want to add to that?
It becomes a student management issue then, how to fit that person back into the course at what given point in time.
Yeah, so it creates a few headaches. So, you know, we certainly recommend you to try and do, if you move in there with one of the students, then try and stick with those and get it done as quickly as possible. So I've got another question here. As a business owner, not being on the tools for several years, I have computer skills. Will the diploma allow for me to consult to my larger clients, such as universities and builders, to design their hydraulic systems? Yes, I would suggest it would. If there are certainly companies around that have in-house consultants. I think Access is probably one of the bigger ones at the moment. They have Access Consulting Group, sort of, I think, sits under the umbrella of Access Plumbing. They're doing some enormous jobs, and they, well, from last time I heard, I think they're sort of upwards of 20 or more of hydraulic consultants in the office. So I see no reason as a business owner, if you're a consultant and you've got your diploma and your qualification, there's no reason why you can't design that project for the company and do your own workshop drawings if the clients are happy with that. So,
can you start doing that before you get the diploma?
No, well, theoretically, if you're signing off on a design, you should have that diploma as a qualification.
It's not today. Well, they haven't folded yet. I met one of the guys on I forget.
Sorry, just breaking up a bit there, Jason. Not there.
But as like a practice going forward, could we do those drawings like you said, as built drawings, but then get them signed off by someone else should they meet standards?
Look, you could, but then that person that's signing them off is assuming the risk of the design.
Yeah.
So if there's something wrong with it, then, you know, they stand to get sued later on. So I guess you would have to negotiate that with whoever the person was doing the sign off. But I would think if you came and asked me, I would be going through them with a very fine tooth comb and doing my own calcs and checking what was designed, so that I was comfortable to say, yep, that's all works. That's particularly with fire stuff is hot topic. And pardon pun. But if you're looking at a fire hydrant system, I'd be running a hyena calc on that design to make sure you're achieving your minimum pressure at your top floor and stuff like that. So for someone to go and do that might end up relatively expensive. You've almost got to design again. I guess it depends on the job, but some are going to be easier than others. But some things, if you're looking at a university, for example, then they're notoriously complex. They, things like those in hospitals and schools, they are constantly getting added onto. Every time the uni or the school gets a bit of money, they build a new wing or something. So it's quite difficult to say, all right, well, here's all this existing infrastructure. But as a designer, you've got to say, well, has it got capacity to build onto that? Or has it already been built onto a number of times and it's at its peak? You might have to go back and upgrade the water main connection or something like that. Yeah. So, in terms of someone else reviewing your design, certainly can be done, but you just might find it costs you a few bucks to get that across the line and get them to sign it off. That's all the questions on the chat. Is anyone else got anything they want to ask about while we're here? Just as we hit 7 o'clock, so everyone's probably sick of me talking by now.
There's another question there, Rod.
Oh, it's just jumped in. Yeah, okay. You mentioned the advanced diploma. Would this include assistants who receive a C14 or even a prerequisite? So there is a difference. There's an advanced diploma, and I think it's called a graduate diploma, which is a different AQF qualification. I had a feeling an advanced diploma is 6 or 7, and the grad dip was 8. But look, in terms of C14, when we talk about C14, for any of you that aren't aware, so it's a category of accreditation that was offered by the Building Professionals Board and the Building Professionals Act, and it was a way of categorising people to say, yes, you're suitable to sign off on these designs. The Building Professionals Board has been disbanded and they are now being absorbed into the Department of Fair Trading. The Building Professionals Act has been repealed and is now replaced with the Building and Certifiers Regulation, I think it is, off the top of my head. There's been too many documents I've been reading lately. It is almost the same scheme that has been transferred across. So when we say C14, that was for hydraulic services design. Instead of C14, it's now just called building certifier brackets hydraulic. The ways you can get that accreditation, and it's sort of looking like there's a number of us that are trying to get that, but it's a bit of a process as well. But it's looking to be probably implemented in the next, I think it's July 2021. But so that gets you, the diploma is a pathway that you can use. So if you hold a diploma, I think it is a civil engineering degree, mechanical engineering degree, or a structural engineering degree, you are able to apply for that category of accreditation. I'm not sure why they let structural people do it. Seems very weird. They don't know about plumbing. Most of them. So look, yeah, so a diploma would get you that category of accreditation. Hopefully that answers that. If you want to go forward and do that, you can contact, the website on the Fair Trading website has information on becoming a certifier. Stereotypically, for anybody, you need to do a it's a 4-day short course in certification, which is not necessarily anything technical about hydraulics. It's all about legislation, the acts, the regulations that sit underneath those, how they inform the development control plans that council has, and the LEPs as well, and then how they sort of feed into the National Construction Code and the Australian standards. So it's more about understanding that hierarchy of what the rules are, and then there's an exam and then a pretty lengthy application. Again, it's one of those things where you've got to put together effectively sort of proving your knowledge. So you've got to nominate, I think it's 6 projects you've worked from or worked on, give a brief description about what's in those projects, and effectively there's a lot of paperwork to fill out to just say, look, I know about hydraulics, and that goes into fair trading, and they'll review it and let you know if you pass on it or get accepted or not. Bit of a lengthy process at the moment. Currently, it's taking about 9 months or more to get approved. So that's probably well down the track for you if you haven't started the diploma yet. I think it's top of my head. Nick, you might be able to confirm. Is it 3 years experience that you need, or is it 6 years?
Yeah, it's three years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah, we push for 6 in line with our current rules.
Mm-hmm.
But they've left it at 3 years for all disciplines.
Yeah. So once you get your diploma, 3 years in the office, that'll give you time to get some jobs behind you, and then you can start applying for those things. So, question, yeah. So three years from receipt of your diploma, I would say, once you're qualified to start applying for those. All right. Any others? Well done. Good. All right. Well, okay. Look, sorry, it's probably, took a little longer than I expected. Actually, I thought it might have been pretty short and sweet once we knew that we don't have to get people into an office. Regardless, I think it's good to have a forum like this for anyone to ask questions and figure out where we're heading. So thank you all for your time. And by all means, if you haven't got your information to Glenn Martin, please do that. And keep an eye on LinkedIn, and we will, if you've got any other questions that haven't been covered, please email me first. That way the TAFE guys can concentrate on getting the courses running, and anything I can't sort out, I'll pass on. So thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Rod.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Rod.
No problem.
Thanks, Rod.